Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with economists, says a developed India can be achieved through fundamental change in mindset. India launches new initiatives on National Consumer Day, which has as its theme virtual hearings and digital access to consumer justice. Donald Trump plans to withdraw the US from the World Health Organization on day one of his office. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to fight forces of evil in his message to Christians worldwide. And the ICC announces the 2025 Champions Trophy schedule. India faces Pakistan on 23rd February in Dubai. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held discussions with economists and thought leaders at NITI Aayog in New Delhi on Tuesday to prepare for the 2025-26 budget. The NITI Aayog is the apex public policy think tank of the Government of India. The meeting had maintaining India's growth momentum at a time of global uncertainty as its theme. In his remarks, the Prime Minister said a developed India can be achieved by 2047 through a fundamental change in mindset. Economists offered suggestions on employment, skill development, agriculture, investments and exports. Participants included Dr. Surjit S. Bhalla, Dr. Ashok Gulati and Dr. Sudipto Mandal. December 24th is National Consumer Day in India. The theme of this year's celebrations is virtual hearings and digital access to consumer justice. DD India's Deepika Mehto takes you through the significance of this day, some historical facts and the initiatives launched this year to protect consumer rights.
24th December is observed as National Consumer Day every year across India with an aim to empower, enlighten and understand the changing consumer pattern of the country. Be it online consumers or offline, India boasts a thick share of consumers around the world. Interestingly, it was the Consumer Protection Act in the year 1986 that received the presidential assent and was enacted. The law then came into effect to safeguard the interests and rights of the consumers, ensuring that they are protected against unfair trade practices, fraud and exploitation. In the year 2024, the Consumer Day is being celebrated with the theme Virtual Hearings and Digital Access to Consumer Justice. The theme corresponds with the objectives of the new Consumer Protection Act 2019 that is aimed at providing speedy, cost-effective and hassle-free justice to the consumers. The amended Act highlights the importance of digital medium and tools in ensuring that consumers can access justice in an increasingly online world. And on the occasion, the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Minister of New and Renewable Energy launched various key initiatives on the National Consumer Day for the protection of consumer rights. Some of the highlights are signing of safety pledge by major e-commerce platforms, which is a voluntary commitment for ensuring consumer safety. Launch of Jago Grahak Jago app, Jagriti app and Jagriti dashboard to protect consumers from the dark pattern. Launch of e-map portal for all services legal metrology services. Dedication of software testing facility for weighing and measuring instrument. With such initiatives, the government keeps on emphasizing on the consumer rights and the protection of those rights as well. At the same time, it is also important for the consumers to be educated about these rights and practice them in their daily lives. Deepika's report for DD India.
India's Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution Minister Prahlad Joshi shared a video message reaffirming the government's commitment to ensuring consumer rights and highlighting initiatives such as the Consumer Protection Act 2019.
The government of India is not only focusing on the consumers' protection, but also consumers' prosperity. India currently is the 5th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest consumers market, providing the ample of opportunities for the consumer-based economy. The Consumer Act 2019 marked a transformative milestone in India's consumer protection framework.
As the largest donor, the US contributed 16% of its funding for 2022 and 23. A sudden exit by the US could create a significant void in global health financing and leadership, particularly in managing future public health crises. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay reports.
President-elect Donald Trump's transition team is preparing to formally withdraw the United States from the World Health Organization on the very first day of his new administration, a decision that was first initiated towards the end of Trump's last term in 2020. The United States is the WHO's largest single donor, providing 16% of its funding during 2022-23. A sudden withdrawal would create a significant vacuum in global health financing efforts and leadership, particularly in managing future public health crises.
We're ready to work together. And the relationship between WHO and the US, the United States, has been actually a good model of partnership and has been partnering for many years. And we believe that that will be the case. And I believe, the U.S. leaders understand that, the U.S. cannot be safe unless the rest of the world is safe.
Trump initiated the U.S.'s withdrawal process from the WHO in 2020, accusing the health organization of being overly influenced by China.
We are by far the largest contributor to WHO, World Health, and they misled us. I don't know. They must have known more than they knew, because they came after what other people knew that weren't even involved. We knew things that they didn't know, and either they didn't know or they didn't tell us, or right now they're literally a pipe organ for China. That's the way I view it.
However, Trump had not secured a consecutive term in office, leading to President Joe Biden's administration repairing ties with WHO during his tenure. The proposed withdrawal would reverse Biden's move to rejoin the WHO, which was taken on his first day in office in 2021. Meanwhile, Trump has made several significant promises, including reversing key decisions such as mass deportation of migrants, undoing Biden administration policies on education, restructuring the federal government, and granting pardons to individuals arrested for their involvement in the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. President-elect Donald Trump has made a new tariff structure a key part of his campaign promises. He plans to impose tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China to curb the flow of drugs into the country and reduce illegal border crossings. Additionally, Trump has emphasized that the cryptocurrency industry is urging his team to initiate the promised overhaul of crypto policies. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
The US government on Monday said it's launched a new probe into legacy Chinese semiconductors that may go into everything from cars to household goods and defense systems. The investigation will look into China's acts, policies and practices on the production of silicon carbide substrates or other wafers used as inputs into semiconductor fabrication. China's Commerce Ministry says the probe was protectionist and would hurt US firms and disrupt the global chip supply chain. Beijing says it will take all necessary measures to defend its rights and interests. DD India's Dheeraj Das has more.
The United States has announced that it is opening an investigation into China's policies for its semiconductor industry. over concerns that Beijing is turning to extensive anti-competitive and non-market means to undermine other economies. According to U.S. Trade Representative's office, the probe centers on foundational semiconductors or the older Chinese-made legacy semiconductors which go into everything from cars to medical devices, and whether China's actions create burdens for U.S. commerce. The USTR office further added that the fear is that Beijing's practices undermine the competitiveness of American industry and workers, critical U.S. supply chains, and U.S. economic security. Beijing slammed the move as protectionist, vowing to defend its interests and urging Washington to halt its wrong practices. Earlier on December 3rd, Beijing had condemned the new U.S. export restrictions aiming at China's ability to make advanced semiconductors.
China has made solemn representation to the US side regarding the US update of semiconductor export control rules, sanctions on Chinese companies, and malicious suspicions of China's technological progress.
The Section 301 probe, launched 4 weeks before the president-elect Donald Trump takes office on January 20th, will be handed over to his administration in January for completion. The effort could offer Trump a ready avenue to begin imposing some of the hefty 60% tariffs he has threatened on Chinese imports. Departing President Joe Biden has already imposed a 50% tariff on Chinese semiconductors that starts on 1st of January. The legacy chips use older manufacturing processes introduced more than a decade ago and are often far simpler than chips used in AI applications or sophisticated microprocessors. In recent years, President Joe Biden has sought to shore up U.S. chip-making capabilities to reduce reliance on other countries. Earlier, President-elect Donald Trump pledged big tariffs on US's 3 largest trading partners, that's Canada, Mexico, and China. Trump plans to raise the tariffs by an additional 10% on all Chinese goods coming into the United States. Dheeraj Das's report, DD India.
Billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk's startup XAI says it had raised $6 billion from investors in its latest funding round as it battles stiff competition in the artificial intelligence market. Announcing the funding, XAI said it would use the cash injection to ship groundbreaking products that will be used by billions of people. It would also accelerate the research and development of future technologies, enabling the company's mission to understand the true nature of the universe. Musk has repeatedly warned that AI poses a risk to human civilization, but he is pushing hard for a bigger slice of investment in the sector, and XAI already raised $6 billion in May. The company is now one of the world's most valuable startups with an estimated $50 billion valuation, though still dwarfed by chief competitor OpenAI's estimated $157 billion. Still to come on DD India News Hour. South Korea grapples with impeachment saga. Russia develops a vaccine against cancer. And Netanyahu claims progress in Gaza negotiations.
Age of artificial intelligence. New strides in semiconductors. Pushing the frontiers of space. Watch Reflections 2024, Science, Technology and Space, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. France's far-right leader Marine Le Pen said on Tuesday that the new French government's days are numbered. She predicted an early presidential election in a few months. The remark came after the French presidency announced a new government with Prasar Bharati named as its prime minister. DD India's Ayushi Bhatnagar has more.
With the formation of a new government, the turbulence in French politics is likely to end. The French presidency on Monday announced the new government, putting together a team under François Bayrou, the fourth Prime Minister of the year, to push out the second largest EU economy in a political crisis.
Sur la proposition du Premier ministre.
Upon the proposal of the Prime Minister in charge of ecological and energy planning, the President of the Republic has appointed Madam Elizabeth Borne, State Minister, Minister of National Education, Higher Learning and Research, Mr. Manuel Valls, State Minister, Overseas Territories Minister, Mr. Gerald Darmanin, State Minister, Justice Minister.
France's fourth government this year features a mix of former ministers and senior civil servants. The presidency, in its address, said that the French President Emmanuel Macron will meet the members of the new government on January 3rd next year.
The President of the Republic will convene all members of the government for a Council of Ministers meeting on the 3rd of January at 10 a.m.
But what led to the formation of a new government in France? Political instability ignited the need for a new government. France was in need of a system to run its business and put the house in order. President Macron's gamble on snap elections this summer in the hopes of bolstering his authority backfired. An alliance of left-wing parties failed to have enough MPs to hold a majority and form government. Macron's decision to appoint Michel Barnier as the Prime Minister dismayed significant French voters, and a budget bill that led to the former Prime Minister's collapse. The newly named Prime Minister will be expected to begin work immediately on passing a 2025 budget bill and to reduce the deficit to above 6% of the GDP at the end of the year, well above the EU's 3% target for member states.
I will do everything I can so that we move from the situation of a country divided, exploded, fragmented, torn apart to a country where we can perhaps come together to solve the country's problems. And I demonstrate it in government. I demonstrate it, I hope, in the way I approach problems.
A strong risk looms over President Macron and new Prime Minister Bayrou as it faces an immediate challenge of preventing no-confidence votes from the far right and the far left. If their heavyweights fall, both France and its neighbouring partner Germany could be hamstrung by political uncertainty for months to come. Meanwhile, Parisians already have low expectations from France's newly appointed ministers, which many say are not representative of the population. France politics has been at 6s and 7s this entire year, but the newly named Prime Minister has expressed high hopes that his picks for ministerial posts would steer the country towards unity and stability and would provide answers to citizens gripped by worry and fears of insecurity. With Ayushi Bhatnagar, Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
South Korea is in turmoil as the country grapples with a series of dramatic events surrounding President Yoon Suk-yeol and acting President Han Duck-soo. The impeachment saga has brought instability to the nation's governance, with both the ruling and opposition parties clashing over key decisions.
Politics in South Korea remains turbulent as the opposition Democratic Party has decided to delay its move to impeach acting President Han Duck-soo. The opposition had earlier announced plans to impeach Han after he postponed approving legislation to initiate a special counsel investigation. The investigation targets former President Yoon Suk-yeol's alleged attempts to impose martial law and corruption allegations involving his wife, Kim Kyon-hee. Meanwhile, South Korea's Constitutional Court is set to hold its first public hearing on December 27 to determine whether President Yoon Suk-yeol will be removed from office. According to country's constitution, 2/3 majority or 6 out of 9 justices must agree to oust an impeached president.
I will never give up. I will do my best for the country and in the last minute, taking empowerment, encouragement and support for me in mind.
As the political drama unfolds, let's take a closer look at the key events that led to the current crisis. December 3rd, in a surprise move, President Yoon declares martial law. December 4th, opposition parties submit a motion to impeach Yoon. December 5, President Yoon replaces Defense Minister Kim Yong-kyun. December 9, South Korea's Justice Ministry bans Yoon from traveling abroad. December 14, the National Assembly votes overwhelmingly 204 to 85 to impeach President Yoon. With President Yoon's impeachment case now heading to the Constitutional Court and the opposition party delaying its decision on acting President Han's impeachment, South Korea's political future remains uncertain. Bureau Report, TT India.
Russia has announced a groundbreaking development in cancer treatment with the creation of an mRNA-based vaccine designed to treat cancer patients. RT correspondent Roman Kozarev sent us this report.
Thanks to a brand new vaccine being developed in Russia, cancer could soon become an illness of the past, just like polio, tetanus, measles, and many other illnesses as well. Now, the vaccine is being developed here at the Gamaleya National Epidemiology Center, the same place that brought to you the highly effective Sputnik V vaccine against COVID-19.
As we all know, this is a multi-stage process. We began the first stage around the middle of 2022, when we realized that the technology underlying the development of these vaccines held great promise. Why 2022? Because it was only in 2020 that technologies emerged allowing foreign antigens to be introduced into the body.
Tumors dissipate and metastases disappear thanks to the new Russian cancer vaccine, according to preclinical studies. The new drug will be tailored individually to each patient. Artificial intelligence will be key in streamlining the analysis of the actual parameters of a tumor, and the vaccine will then be ready for the patient's use within a week. Alexander Ginsburg is certain that even stage 4 cancer patients will eventually be able to benefit from the new vaccine. Human trials are set to start next September, but Mr. Ginsburg is already confident that another mRNA-based vaccine will be just as successful as Sputnik V, as Moscow's Gamaleya National Center of Epidemiology and Microbiology made quite a few headlines during the COVID-19 pandemic when its highly efficient Sputnik V vaccine was administered to millions of people. The cost of the new vaccine currently stands at around $3,000. That's just for the state to produce it. But according to the Russian Health Ministry's chief oncologist Andrei Koprin, the government will pick up the tab and cancer patients should get the vaccine completely for free. Roman Kozarev, RT, Moscow.
Hopes of conflict resolution in West Asia are rising as the year draws to a close. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledges progress in hostage negotiations but remains uncertain about the timeline. The region remains tense as negotiations continue alongside hostilities. Meanwhile, in his Christmas message, Netanyahu reaffirms Israel's resolve to combat global forces of tyranny. DD India's Meher Makuri has more.
As 2024 draws to a close, hopes for an end to the ongoing conflict are gaining momentum. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed lawmakers, revealing cautious optimism about the progress in hostage negotiations.
There
is progress. I don't know how long it will take. We will continue to operate in any way and without a pause until we bring them all back home from the enemy's land.
Netanyahu's remarks in Israeli parliament come just 2 days after hints at advancements in ceasefire talks and hostage release negotiations during meetings in Cairo. But in his Christmas message, Netanyahu struck a defined tone, asserting that Israel remains at the forefront of the global fight against forces of evil and tyranny.
Israel leads the world in fighting the forces of evil and tyranny, but our battle is not yet over. With your support and with God's help, I assure you, we shall prevail.
Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz made a stunning revelation, publicly admitting for the first time that Israel was responsible for the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Iran last July. This acknowledgement risks further escalating tensions between Israel and Tehran amid a region already rattled by conflict.
We have dealt a severe blow to the axis of evil, and we will also deal a severe blow to the Houthi terrorist organization in Yemen, which remains the last to stand and fire at Israel. We will damage its strategic infrastructure and we will behead its leaders, just as we did to Haniyeh, Sinwar, and Nasrallah in Tehran, Gaza, and Lebanon.
Earlier on Tuesday, Israel intercepted a missile launched from Yemen, marking a significant escalation in regional hostilities. But the missile was successfully neutralized before entering Israeli territory, with no reported injuries or damage. As negotiations continue and tensions simmer, the region remains on edge, with the coming days likely to shape the trajectory of these critical developments. Mihir Maikuri's report for DD India.
Christmas is celebrated worldwide, but this year the celebrations are subdued because of ongoing conflicts and political turmoil in some countries. Fuzail Ahmed reports.
Every year, Christmas is celebrated with much excitement and grandeur around the world. However, this year, celebration is somewhat subdued by political turmoil and conflicts around the world. In Ukraine, many remember their loved ones who lost their lives in the ongoing conflict with Russia.
He said, I can't leave my guys. The war won't end without me. I still have correspondence with him. I can't even get my hands up to erase it. He wrote, I'm here until the last.
In Damascus, hundreds of Christians gathered on Tuesday to protest the burning of a Christmas tree in the Al-Suqailabiya district in Hamas's northern countryside. Carrying wooden crosses, protesters chanted slogans in Arabic, including, "We are your soldiers, Jesus," and "With blood and soul, we sacrifice for Jesus." In Bethlehem, a handful of Christian pilgrims could be seen praying in the Church of the Nativity on Christmas Eve in the West Bank. Foreign tourists, on whom Bethlehem's economy almost entirely relies, have largely stopped coming due to the ongoing violence in the West Bank and the war in Gaza. The Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, who crossed the checkpoint to West Bank's Bethlehem, said, "War is terrible with all the consequences of division, but faithful should not lose hope."
The war is terrible with all the consequences of division. We are in the place where divisions are very evident also from the structural point of view. To go through, the meaning is that it's possible, even where there are enormous and difficult walls, it's possible to trespass them if we want. And we want, especially for this Christmas, we want to tell to our people not to lose hope.
In South Korea, many visitors felt distracted due to political turmoil in the country. In Germany, 4 days after a car attack on the visitors of a German Christmas market, the mood in Magdeburg remained somber on Tuesday, the day Germans traditionally celebrate Christmas. Mourners gathered next to a sea of flowers and candles at the site of Friday night's attack, wiped away tears and expressed disbelief and also anger at politicians, saying the tragedy, which left 5 people dead and more than 200 injured, may have been preventable. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
All right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has called for renewed protests in a live stream on Tuesday. It comes after the country's constitutional council upheld the ruling party's victory in October's disputed election and declared Frelimo party's Daniel Chapo as president. El Salvador's lawmakers approved a bill for reintroduction of metallic mining in the country, which was banned in 2017. Hundreds of protesters and activists gathered outside the legislature amid fears that reintroducing mining in the country would pollute the Lempa River, which supplies 70% of water to the capital city, San Salvador. In Japan's Osaka, thousands laughed out loud for 20 minutes at a shrine for an unusual ritual which is to laugh away the year's bad memories. The ceremony is a way for participants to wish for good luck in the upcoming year by laughing. Hundreds of festive buyers gathered at an annual pre-Christmas meat auction with turkeys at a London meat market on Tuesday. The Smithfield Market Meat Auction is a traditional event that's taken place on Christmas Eve since 1327. And still to come on DD India News Hour. An expert take on India-Bangladesh relations. And Bengaluru hosts an annual cake show. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Bangladesh asks its neighbor India to extradite former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to face judicial proceedings. The spokesperson of India's Ministry of External Affairs says New Delhi has received the request. The formal request comes 2 weeks after India's Foreign Secretary visited Dhaka. It was the first high-level visit by an Indian official since Sheikh Hasina's 15-year rule ended.
India has received an extradition request from its neighbor Bangladesh. Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs advisor Tawhid Hussain told journalists in Dhaka that Ms. Hasina is wanted for a judicial process in Bangladesh. Dhaka's request to New Delhi on Monday came 2 weeks after India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri visited Bangladesh. Hasina's son Sanjeev Bazid posted a message on social media platform in which he said, and I quote, "We reiterate our position in the fair manner that Yunus-led regime weaponized the judiciary and we express no confidence on the justice system," end quote. He also had a word or two to say about the International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh. The ICT is a domestic war crimes tribunal appointed by the Yunus regime, despite proven records of defending war criminals, reportedly spread deliberate disinformation, can and hold farcical trial to serve the interest of Yunus. But the very prosecutor later altered his statement following a media expose. India signed an extradition treaty with Bangladesh in 2013. Under Article 6 of the treaty, extradition may be denied if the alleged offence is of a political nature. Article 8 provides another ground for refusal if the accusation is not made in good faith in the interests of justice. Sheikh Hasina stepped down in the face of counter-white protests led by student groups on August 5th. Bureau Report, DD India.
And joining us is Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti. Mr. Chakrabarti is a former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. High Commissioner, welcome to DD India News Up. Now, may I begin by asking you, why has Dhaka made this request? What is Dhaka accusing Sheikh Hasina of?
Well, they have filed hundreds of cases of murder, human rights abuses, etc. Because the people who died during the agitation, because they were fired upon by government forces, police, etc., and the army, and maybe some others also, but then that is yet undisclosed. So I think they are ultimately, reached the conclusion that they should put the ball in India's court and ask for her extradition. And what I feel is that this could have happened earlier because they had all the data. But today, I think they have decided to do it to satisfy domestic constituencies also, and to tick the box that yes, we have done what we were supposed to do in terms of the interim government's agenda, and those who are backing that interim government, the Islamists and the students and others. So that is the position at the moment. So they have filed, I suppose, a note verbal asking for India to return Hasina to Bangladesh to stand whatever trial for the offences that they have, or the cases that they have instituted against her.
High Commissioner, can India refuse to extradite her?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's not a very easy case from what I can gather. After all, Hasina didn't have any cases when she came here. She was actually brought here by a major institution of the state, which is the Bangladesh Army. They are the ones who requested that we want to bring her over to India, and so the government of India at the last moment said okay, and she came over here. It's not that she had cases against her and she was fleeing certain charges. That was not the case at that time when she came. So I think that itself is a bit of a question mark on the extradition request. As to she came here when and she was actually deposited here by the Bangladesh Army, the military, saying that she wanted to come here or whatever. They had forced her to come here. So in that situation, do the extradition laws really apply? I think these are the things that the lawyers will have to consider, will have to discuss and decide that whether this is a fit case for extradition.
High Commissioner Chakravarti, Hasina's son, Sajib Wazed, says the Yunus-led regime has weaponized the judiciary and that they have no confidence in the justice system. Do you agree?
Well, there has been weaponization of the judiciary. There is no doubt about it. There were hundreds and hundreds of cases filed against Awami League leaders, Awami League workers. And today the situation is such that cases are being lodged against anybody that the Jamaat and the BNP or the students feel that there is an opportunity here to harass them. And I believe that also, and I'm told from my friends in Bangladesh that these cases are being used for even extortion of money. And that, okay, we will drop these cases provided you pay so much. So this is a very murky situation there. And people have taken advantage of all this and are going about doing all kinds of things that should not be happening.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier in your intervention, High Commissioner Chakravarti. What should one read into the timing of it? It's come a couple of weeks after India's Foreign Secretary visited Dhaka.
Well, it's a signal that, we are not yet ready to normalize relations and we will pursue our agenda. That is the interim government's agenda, which could be linked to various forces, both domestic and foreign, and that this would keep up the pressure on India. Because ultimately the regime change operation in Dhaka was designed to put pressure on India as well. And to tell India that we can create trouble for you in your neighborhood, and so I think this is part of that game plan, and we are aware of it, and I think we will have to deal with it with that awareness at the back of our mind.
So, on balance, where do you think India-Bangladesh relations are headed?
Well, at the moment, I don't see very positive direction, because as long as this government, which is temporary and has to go out and give way to an elected government, they have a temporary agenda, but who knows that this agenda may be carried forward by the next government, and then things obviously will not be normal in terms of bilateral relations. However, we are willing to be patient, I think, and we will deal with it as it happens. because we do not want that this relationship actually, explodes and becomes something much more difficult to handle.
Hi, Commissioner Chakraborty. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. In some other news, Indian Navy Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan inaugurated BEML's Futuristic Product Innovation and Incubation Center at its Bengaluru complex. The cutting-edge facility aims to drive innovation and develop advanced technologies for the Indian Armed Forces, aligning with the country's mission of self-reliance. The Vice Admiral lauded the center as a strategic design partner for the Navy, fostering indigenization and innovation. 5 Indian Army soldiers lost their lives after an army vehicle met with an accident during operational duty in the Poonch sector in Jammu and Kashmir. The 16th Corps of the Indian Army took to microblogging site X to extend its condolences. It said that rescue operations are underway and that the injured were receiving medical care. And now take a look at what else is making news in India. Secretary East in India's Ministry of External Affairs, Jaideep Mazumdar, represented India at the 24th BIMSTEC Senior Officials meeting hosted by Thailand. India reiterated its commitment to regional cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region. The meeting discussed cooperation in sustainable development, connectivity, security and people-to-people exchanges. The Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation on Monday signed an MOU with the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India to give training on food safety methods and hygiene to 10,000 licensed street vendors. The two agencies will form a joint coordination committee with 3 members from each on it to carry out these training programs. All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi's Director Dr. M. Srinivas has been honoured with Art of Implementation Health Award at the Good Governance Through Effective Implementation Conference 2024 in Haryana on Tuesday. The award recognized Dr. Srinivas's outstanding leadership in reforming an effective governance strategy for AIIMS, New Delhi. On the occasion of Christmas, an annual cake show was organized at Palace Grounds in Bengaluru. Cakes in the shape of Ayodhya Ram Temple and Nada Prabhu Kempegowda were some of the highlights among other very creative and intricate shapes. Interesting. Still to come on DD India News Hour. EU signs a trade agreement with Switzerland. India's capital, New Delhi, turns into a festive wonderland on Christmas. And the 2025 Champions Trophy schedule is out.
Age of Artificial Intelligence. New strides in semiconductors. Pushing the frontiers of space. Watch Reflections 2024, Science, Technology and Space, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. In business news, the European Union has trade agreements around the world. It signed one this past weekend with Switzerland, which lies at the heart of Europe, but's not a member of the EU. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Lars, what can you tell us about this new trade agreement?
Thanks for having me. Well, I got to tell you that I too was surprised that there hadn't been a trade agreement between Switzerland and the EU so far. Switzerland has 4 neighboring countries, that's Germany, France, Austria and Italy, that are all EU members. And then there's a 5th neighbor, tiny Liechtenstein, that is at least part of the single market, the European Economic Area. In fact, a person in Zurich has to travel over 600 kilometers to even get to the next non-EU country, which would be Bosnia-Herzegovina or Britain, depending on what direction you want to take. It is obvious, given the geographic location of Switzerland, that almost all of its trade is with the EU. And for decades, bilateral agreements had been regulating that trade. They had all been focusing on separate business sectors. And since they are now running out, many in Switzerland were in fact anxious to get an all-encompassing trade agreement in place so as to secure the trade partnership for the future.
So what's in fact the main trade between Switzerland and the EU?
Interesting question. Indeed, there's a lot more to Switzerland than watches and chocolate, even though these 2 items are obviously also part of the trade between the country and its partners. Among the most important trade sectors for Switzerland is chemicals and pharmaceuticals. Trade, their total trade goes around 65 billion euros with the European Union. That's almost half of the EU's entire trade in that sector. And then there's machinery and appliances, optical and photographic instruments, as well as precious metals. Now, Switzerland is also a very important partner of the EU for trade in services, in particular, of course, for commercial services, and that includes banking that adds over 225 billion euros to the total. So we're talking about a really important partnership.
Lars, thank you. Lars Holter reporting there from Berlin. To sports news now, the International Cricket Council has declared the schedule for Champions Trophy 2025. The much-awaited clash between India and Pakistan will take place on 23rd February in Dubai. Besides Pakistan, the other 2 teams in India's group are Bangladesh and New Zealand. India will play Bangladesh on 20th February and New Zealand on the 2nd of March. All matches of Team India will be held in Dubai, which is the neutral venue for the tournament. Defending champions and hosts Pakistan will kick off the tournament on 19th February against New Zealand in Karachi. In women's cricket, India beat West Indies by 115 runs in the second one-day international in Vadodara, Gujarat. Harleen Deol scored a brilliant century to take her team to a mammoth total of 358 runs. On the other hand, West Indies were bowled out for just 243 in 46.2 overs. India's Priya Mishra took 3 wickets, while Deepti Sharma and Pratika Rawal took 2 each. With this win, India has clinched the 3-match series with the last match scheduled to take place on Friday. The Women's Selection Committee on Tuesday announced India's Under-19 squad for the ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup 2025 to be held in Malaysia. India's Nikki Prasad will lead the squad, while Sanika Chalke will be the vice-captain. There are as many as 4 groups, with each group consisting of 4 teams. India Under-19, who are the defending champions, are placed in Group A alongside hosts Malaysia, West Indies and Sri Lanka. The tournament is set to be played in Malaysia from 18th January to 2nd February. India will begin their campaign on 19th January against the West Indies. FIFA has implemented interim changes to its transfer regulations following a European Court of Justice ruling favouring former French footballer Lassana Diarra. The amendments, designed to comply with the European Court's decision, will take immediate effect before the January transfer window. FIFA sought input from key stakeholders while drafting the temporary measures, but the Global Players Union was notably absent from the discussions. FIFA claimed that the union declined to participate. The union issued a statement criticizing FIFA's decision. It said it was unable to reach a consensus under which it could negotiate amendments to the regulations to reflect the ruling. Tributes poured in for legendary Indian filmmaker Shyam Benegal, who passed away in Mumbai on Monday. He was 90. The film fraternity and his close friends mourn the loss of the pioneer of the Indian New Wave movement. Diptanshu Kashyap has more.
It's an end of an era for film fraternity. As a pioneer of parallel cinema in India, Shyam Benegal, one of the greatest filmmakers since the 1970s, died at the age of 90 in Mumbai. His mortal remains were cremated with full state honours. Paying tributes to the author, President of India Draupadi Murmu wrote on X, "The passing of Sri Shyam Benegal marks the end of a glorious chapter of Indian cinema and television. He started a new kind of cinema and crafted several classics. A veritable institution, he groomed many actors and artists. His extraordinary contribution was recognized in the form of numerous awards, including Dada Saheb Phalke Award and Padma Bhushan. My condolences to the members of his family and his countless admirers." Vice President Jagdeep Thankar wrote, "Saddened by the demise of Sri Shyam Benegal ji, a Padma Bhushan recipient and a visionary filmmaker, his pioneering works greatly enriched the landscape of Indian cinema. Sri Benegal's path-breaking films address social realities with unmatched depth and sensitivity. His contribution to art, culture and storytelling will always be remembered with deep respect. My heartfelt condolences to his family and admirers in this difficult hour." Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on X, "Deeply saddened by the passing of Sri Shyam Benegal ji, whose storytelling had a profound impact on Indian cinema. His works will continue to be admired by people from different walks of life. Condolences to his family and admirers. Om Shanti." Born on the 14th of December in the year 1934 in Hyderabad, Benegal began his career in copywriting before transitioning to filmmaking, creating numerous commercials, corporate films and documentaries.
I got to learn from him, I got to perform with him, I got to spend time with him, I traveled the world with him. kahan ghume hum log saath mein. And I tell you, those were the best days of my life.
Benegal made his directorial debut with Ankur. His directorial debut, which means the seedling, literally sprouted a series of impeccable masterpieces like Nishant, Manthan, Bhumika, Junoon, The Making of the Mahatma and Bose, The Forgotten Hero. His final film, Mujib, The Making of a Nation, focused on the founder of Bangladesh, Mujibur Rahman. Benegal also helped launch the careers of many actors.
उन्होंने एक नई जागृति, नया चेतन, एक नया सोच हिंदी सिनेमा को दिया, इसमें कोई शक ही नहीं.
Benegal is also known for his television contribution, with the most notable being Bharat Ek Khoj. He also directed Samvidhan, a mini-series on the making of India's constitution. Benegal has received numerous accolades, including National Film Awards and the prestigious Dada Saheb Phalke Award in the year 2007. His national honours include the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan. He also served as a faculty member at the Film and Television Institute of India in Pune. His filmmaking legacy continues to inspire future generations of filmmakers, as his films continues to resonate with the society. With inputs from Shyama Mishra, Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
Christmas is here and India's capital New Delhi has turned into a festive wonderland. From bustling markets to the aroma of fresh cakes, the city is soaking in the holiday cheer. DD India's Nupur Praveen takes us straight to the heart of the celebrations.
Delhi is all pepped up and ready for the Christmas season. Markets are brimming with festive charm. Fairy lights, Christmas trees and jingling bells. They bring a sense of warmth and festive atmosphere.
The kids love Santa caps, Christmas trees and decoration items. Small kids love to buy Christmas trees for school functions as well as home.
Aroma of freshly baked plum cakes and cookies inside the bakeries add another sweet moment to the joyous mood.
The spirit of Christmas is coming together, helping each other, enjoying the presence of, if it is a family or group, and there's a lot of sharing and caring. Without Christmas cake, there is no Christmas, because in the church also, after the program is over, we cut the cake and we dance and things like that.
Schools are also getting into the festive mode. a Christian school in Delhi is keeping up with the old traditions. They have displayed the nativity scene, a special exhibition of art objects representing the birth of Jesus Christ. Churches are glowing with the warmth of Christmas. Carols and prayers are bringing people together to celebrate what this season is all about: love and togetherness.
Christmas celebration is, when we look on the Christmas, everywhere is lighted up. You can see the stars everywhere. Especially in India, we have seen the stars, we have seen the lights and everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a great Christmas in India. You could see the illuminations and the lightnings and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful. And the Christmas scripts and everything. Especially the church is equipped with all the Christmas trees, lights and everything. So it's a beautiful.
This season, actually, the Christmas is the remembrance of the birth of Jesus, and accordingly, the worldly or material celebration will be there, but then spiritual also.
And this year, Christmas celebrations got even more merrier. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi joined a Christmas gathering at this church, adding to the festive cheer and sharing in the joy of the season.
The Prime Minister came for this Christmas celebration, and it was the first time Prime Minister come to CBCI for the Christmas celebration.
From the bustling markets to quiet moments of prayer, Delhi is soaking in the spirit of Christmas.
Christmas isn't just a festival, it's a feeling of magic, joy and hope. From these sparkling decorations to these beautiful lights, and Mother Mary watching over all of us. It's the true spirit of the season that reminds us of values like caring, sharing and celebrating with our loved ones. Wish you all a very happy and Merry Christmas. With camera person Alok, this is Nupur Praveen reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And on the eve of Christmas, President Draupadi Murmu of India extended her greetings to fellow citizens. In her message, the President said, and I quote, "On the joyous occasion of Christmas, I extend my heartiest greetings and best wishes to all Indians, especially Christian brothers and sisters. As we celebrate this sacred day, let us imbibe Jesus Christ's message of love and harmony in our lives. This festival inspires us to foster unity and peace. In this season of peace, I hope the forces of trust and forgiveness will be strengthened around the world, bringing people closer to each other." Unquote. The festive spirit is evident in India's northeastern state of Assam too. Churches in the state capital Guwahati and surrounding areas are beautifully decorated for Christmas, with streets, markets and establishments coming alive with the festive spirit. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hub. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and around the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hub.